Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me this evening in the Locker Room. I'm Alan Locher. Tonight, I'm honored to welcome two incredible guests, Days of Our Lives stars Madison and Eric Martsolf. Not only have they shared years of unforgettable on-screen moments, but they've also come together for a deeply personal and meaningful cause. In honor of their beloved on-screen father, the legendary Drake Hogestyn, Martha and Eric have teamed up to co-chair Hogey's home runners for the PanCAN PurpleStride Walk in Santa Monica on April 26th. Their goal, a hefty $50,000 they are looking to raise in the fight against pancreatic cancer, supporting research, advocacy, and those currently battling this disease. PanCAN, the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, was the first organization dedicated to fighting pancreatic cancer in a comprehensive way. And for more than 2 decades, they've grown a nationwide movement tackling the disease from all angles, including research, advocacy, and patient services. The funds Martha and Eric will raise will go towards helping thousands of people currently fighting this disease. So as they shared, with regard to their fundraising goals, let's swing for the fences, as Drake would say. Tonight, they'll share their memories of working with Drake, what inspired them to take on this challenge, and how you can get involved yourselves. Whether you walk, donate, or help spread the word, every effort will make an impact. So let's dive in and welcome Martha Madison and Eric Martsolf to the Locker Room. Hello there.
Hello.
Well, howdy, Alan.
That was a great
us.
intro.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, thank you so much for being here, for what you're doing to honor Drake and to raise money for pancreatic cancer at a time when the future of pancreatic cancer research is in jeopardy. According to PanCAN, they have shared that. And I'd like to add, as someone who lost their first cousin, and I know Eric has been touched personally, professionally, and personally, what you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is no time to give up on that fight. The thing that's scary about pancreatic is it's hard to detect, and once you got it, it's a dismal prognosis. It's really rough. So yeah, we can't slow down now. And that's when Martha called me up and said, "Hey, you wanna do some good for pancreatic cancer?" I said yes, before I even checked my schedule, actually, and realized that I double booked myself, but I'm not going to be there physically for the walk, unfortunately. And Martha has hit me in the face for this, but
I didn't touch the face.
I got the wonderful Dan Furgal from our show. He stepped in, and he's going to be at Martha's side, and hopefully many more of our cast members are going to be there. But
Absolutely.
I'm going to push. Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to the walk. You know, let's go back. I'd love to know if you both remember that first moment of meeting Drake.
Oh gosh. Well, I worked with Drake before I worked with Deidre. I know that because she was on the island at the time. So I feel like I worked with him a lot at the beginning because, you know, we had just lost Marlena. Bella just lost her mom. And so I just remember him being very warm. I don't know if I have specific memories of the exact first time I met him. But, you know, I mean, it was anyone who's met Drake knows that it was like you always knew him from the minute, you know, he just is just one of the family, you know.
He's so down to earth. I remember very vividly meeting him because my first scene was with Deidre Hall and Drake Hogestyn when I joined Days. That morning, I was being kicked out of my house by the fire department because my home was in danger of being burned down.
Oh, no.
This was like 17 years ago. And I literally drove one way and my family drove the other, evacuating the house. And I came to the Days of Our Lives set completely panicked. And I just went on set and did my scenes with Deidre and Drake. And I immediately got just a blanket of welcome from that man. That was so simple and so kind. He just put his hand on me and said, "Welcome, kid. Good to have you."
Yeah.
And he meant it. I could tell he meant it. It wasn't like a welcome to the show. It was a good to have you, kid. You know, and I felt that son-father thing right out of the gate with him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is definitely a first day you would not forget. My God.
Oh my gosh.
I can't imagine.
It's pretty crazy.
That is
Crazy.
Having just, watched, and you guys just all lived through that. I mean,
gosh.
I can't imagine having, on top of that, send my family one way and go to work.
Yeah, it's just another day in LA. What are you going to do?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you played, opposite him, both of you, for so many years as, children of John Black. What do you think you learned from Drake personally about life and professionally about work?
You want to go first, Eric?
Sure. Work ethic, number one.
That's what I was going to say.
And I'll tell you that the real testament to his work ethic was when he was in the bottom innings, let's say, of his fight. He still knew his stuff. Like, he still knew his lines, and he said them passionately. And we're in the process right now of looking at our Emmy reels and trying to gather scene work. And I'm throwing some stuff with Drake because it's so good. He's still so passionate.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that. Yeah, I mean, we have folks that have trouble learning their lines every day, and he just never went up. Just always knew his stuff.
True.
So work ethic, and second to that is just his kindness factor. There wasn't an extra that he didn't approach. There was never a stunt man that he never shook hands with, and knew everybody's name. And he's the gold standard of kindness on set. And when you're doing a soap opera, when you're a producer of a show, that's what you want. You want some nice people that do their job and just make your job easy. And he did. He just did.
That's right. I really couldn't have said it better, but I'm always was always enamored of his work ethic. And I think, it wasn't something I ever noticed going along for 20 years, but when I was thinking about all the wonderful things about Drake, right after he passed, I realized that he never brought a script to set ever.
Yeah, never.
I never saw him with a script in his hand. If he had a question, he would just,
that really
ask
is,
it.
that really is amazing. Having worked on 2 shows, I know when, everybody's walking and they hide it behind the pillow,
Right.
Oh yeah, we all do it. I do it. Sure.
I do it. Yeah.
Guilty.
I don't know anybody who doesn't do it, because it is a massive feat to remember all of that all day, every day. And, we're not trying to be superheroes here. We're just trying to get it right, and having that script is like sort of a comfort. And in thinking about what it would mean to me to come to set without a script, I would have to be so confident in my preparation and my ability to deliver, and know that I'm not going to get distracted. And these must all be traits that just came naturally to Drake. And again, a lot of these things, it's not like you notice it every single day. It's just this big picture of him is that he was, very talented, very prepared, worked really hard. Like Eric said, just the kindest person. It's not, when you said he would talk to all the extras and stuff, and it's not like he would say, "Hi, I'm Drake." He would just go over and put his hand on their shoulder and start telling them a story.
Hey, what's your story? Want to hear some stories
Yeah.
about the Yankees? Let me tell you about the Yankees for a second.
Right. Because he could just
like,
disarm anybody. Yeah. He could sense if you were nervous, and he could just disarm it in 5 seconds or less. And not everybody can do that. Not many people want to do that or feel compelled to do that. So
he also, I heard a story.
Everybody's name is really, and for young people starting out to witness that, I think that is a gift that you don't even know you're receiving from somebody by just watching how they treat everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Conditional behaviorism. Watch the people that do it well and emulate that, and you will be successful, and people will love you for that. And
I just think he was a natural leader, and which sort of matched his position on the show and his tenure on the show and his character. It was all the same. He was the leader of our team, and he could welcome in any new player any day. And when it was time to call action, he played ball. He really did. He'd just get right in there with you.
Another fun thing,
Alan, another fun baseball analogies, because I know how much he loved.
Well, I think that's how he approached it, and he talked about it all the time.
Yeah.
And another fun thing about his work ethic, I think Stephen Nichols told me this story when it came time for him to renegotiate his contract one year. He didn't want more money. He just wanted an extra dressing room to put his gym in.
Mhm.
So he would, if his call time was 6 a.m., he would always come in 2 hours early, 1 hour for lines and the other hour to work out.
Work out.
And so whoever was
Mhm.
adjacent to Drake's room was just like, I would hear his grunts of getting just he was a powerhouse. That was
So
how
he
he did it.
learned his stuff that morning, or
No.
I don't know. I don't think so.
He would go over the lines that he has already learned for an hour prior. Like he just went
Yeah.
above and beyond in the workforce.
Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite on-screen or off-screen memory?
I mean, there's so many. I don't know. I mean, I know that some of the best work I ever felt I got to do, you know, obviously it's a combination of all the creative people, but getting to do that DNR story with Drake, where we were really going, you know, butting heads about pulling the plug on Marlena. I mean, these were very deeply emotional scenes, and he went all the way in with me. Like there was nowhere I could go in that scene. It's hard to describe if you're you know don't if you're not an actor, I guess, but if you know, there's nowhere I could go where he wasn't just right there, you know, to kind of sort of comfort you, but also like meet you right where you are. Like he could let you drive the scene, and there's just a level of, I don't know, spontaneity and just care and just good listening and like, you know, wanting to get the best out of your scene partner. He was always there for me in that way.
Yeah, he was
You know,
he was selfless too. He didn't mind
yes,
if
that's a
you were
better
the
one.
one, if you weren't the one to shine.
Right.
He'd be happy to let you shine, and he would set you up so you could just knock it out of the park.
Yes.
Ooh, I made a baseball reference again.
Oh my God, Eric, that's exactly what I was trying to say. That like he would prop me up in those
he'd
scenes
set it
so
up.
that I could have my moment, and it was just so like him. You know, he's so humble and so supportive and.
Well, I can't think of anything better on a soap than really writing for father and son, father and daughter. So, you know, I'm sure the heartfelt emotion that you both got to portray with him.
Yes.
Well, is that a doggy?
That's my dog. Sorry.
I want to share a story. One of my most memorable times with Drake was when we were actually beating each other up in the Horton Square. When Brady was in the throes of his, I believe it was alcoholism or substance abuse, one of the two, maybe the same,
maybe both.
And he was like, we basically had a physical confrontation where I grabbed my dad, and we had a stunt man ready to go, and in true Drake fashion, he goes, "I'm good, buddy. Thanks for coming. I don't need you." I was like, "Drake, like we're throwing each other around pretty hard. I got to throw you up against this wall, and you got." He's like, "Kid, I got it. Whatever." Sure enough, I threw him up against this wall. It was like fake foliage, and there was a nail sticking out of the foliage. Hit him in the back of the head when I threw him up against the wall.
No
And
way.
the back of his head was bleeding profusely. Not just like it was bleeding. And someone realized it, said, "Well, stop, everybody." And Drake, I remember he went like this. Let's scratch. Let's keep going. Let's do another one. Like in today's day and age, anybody would have been like, "Okay, cut, stop, let's take a look." He was like, "We need to do this scene again. You know, we need to get the shot." Just that kind of fortitude, and dare I say, manliness and studliness that the guy was like, "It's fine, it's a little scratch." Just kept going. And I remember that. I was like, wow, I want to be him when I grow up.
Wow.
The real deal.
That's a dude.
I've never heard that story. Wow.
Yeah, I don't usually tell it. I mean, it's ridiculous because I'm the one that I felt terrible.
Well,
I was like,
I'm sure.
They were like, the prop guys were like, "Eric, do you have long nails or something that got into his head?" I'm like, "No, stop it." Check the foliage. And sure enough, there was a freaking nail sticking out.
Well,
happens.
You spoke earlier, Eric, about, you know, the last innings. I mean, it must have been something to to just watch him coming in, him knowing what he was going through and you all knowing what he was going through. I mean, that's something, as you and I have had, this in our lives, people who have had pancreatic cancer. It's not easy on those going through it.
Mhm.
So coming to work is
Yeah. Like I said, I'll explain my little trifecta here. Basically, Isabella Kyriakis, which was Drake Hogestyn's love interest, my mom, Isabella, she died fictitiously on the show of pancreatic cancer after giving birth to Brady. Drake Hogestyn, my TV dad, actually died of pancreatic cancer. And my biological mother, my mom, succumbed to pancreatic cancer as well. So I got my TV dad, I got my fake mom, and I got my real mom. So yeah, that's why I'm hating the heck out of pancreatic cancer, because it's just too prevalent in my story. In
It's
that
also
sense.
the
And
reason I asked Eric right away to do this with me.
yeah, Martha knew, and it's awful, Alan, as you know.
yeah.
I know you've been touched by it, and it's a very short time from getting the diagnosis to eventually, most of the time, succumbing to it. And it's just an awful disease.
I showed Eric this backstage, Martha, but I'll show it. This is October of 22. My cousin in the dead center, who had pancreatic cancer, she lived for another 3 months after that, but that was our entire family doing a walk in upstate, New York, where they lived. So Martha, tell us how you got involved with PanCAN and create. I love your team name, which is great. And for
that's all Martha, by the way.
If you want to get involved, this is the link. It's also up on YouTube down below. So please donate, get involved, walk if you live nearby. But Martha, go ahead, take it away.
Well, I wish that I could take credit for it being totally my idea. It wasn't. One of the communications director from PanCAN reached out to me because we're connected on LinkedIn, and we would correspond there from time to time, because I recruit. I'm a recruiter in my real life, and that's where my work happens. So I have a bunch of friends over there, and Matt reached out and he said, I know what happened with Drake, and I know that you were close, and I would love to invite you to be involved with PanCAN in the future, if you would be interested in doing that. And of course I said, absolutely. And so when this walk came around, we kind of reconnected, and he said, he felt that we could make a really big impact. And I said, well, obviously I want to be involved. I actually know some people who've been very deeply affected by pancreatic cancer. So let me get them on board first. So I called Eric and said, I think that this would not only mean a lot to Drake, but I think it could mean a lot to you. And I would like to, have your voice and your story be a part of this too. We also have another colleague at Days who just lost his wife to pancreatic cancer. And, it just seemed to be the topic of the moment. And I wanted to make sure that everyone who wanted to be involved with that was on board first. So, I went back and said, let's do it. And so, coming up with a team name, I was like, I don't know. I thought about like
you nailed
Salem
it.
Sluggers or whatever, but I knew that we used that for another event. And so I was like, well, it needs to have a baseball reference. It just kind of came to me. So we put all that together, and the leadership over at PanCAN really built up our page and got it all ready for us. And off we went. I called Andrea. I said, we want to do this. Do we have your blessing? And she's like, heck yeah, let's get everybody on board. And so it just, again, in the spirit of Drake, I mean, it was like the whole team just came together and said, of course we're doing this. Like, let's do it. And while it originated sort of from me, I can't take all the credit. And certainly the fact that we're already over halfway of our $50,000 goal has everything to do with everybody involved, and every little every donation has helped. I really want to shout out our big boss, Mr.
Mr. Ken
Corday.
Corday
I
threw
saw
out a big
that
one.
lovely donation,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
He
I
gave a
mean,
big
and
one.
But it also
awesome.
shows the love of Drake.
Oh, he
Absolutely.
he loved Drake so
They were really
much.
good friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to have Ken's support like that really pushed us over that halfway mark. And also, I don't even know if he knows this, but he donated on the day that every dollar was matched. So I actually think that his 10,000 turned into 20, not all for our team, but still an amazing
Good timing.
contribution. Yeah, that PanCAN's trying to raise $1 million this year, and we just found out yesterday that we're in their top 10 fundraising teams. So we're really excited. Yeah,
but they are, the government is pulling back on cancer research, so PanCAN needs to. Cancer research is
right.
should not be. We need.
That shouldn't be up for debate at all. That's insanity, because
it's absurd.
You can't find someone in the world, you can't bump into someone on the street that hasn't been affected negatively by cancer, specifically pancreatic. It's too rampant. And for those of you that think that my $20, my $50 isn't going to make, with the government doing what it's doing, now's the time where your individual contributions are so important, and there is progress being made. There's hope. It's not like this is going into some big tunnel, all this money, and it's actually being put into the right hands. And I want to reassure people that this organization is serious about finding a way to eradicate it from the world. So please, if you got $5 or $20 or $100 or 10,000, give it. Just give it.
Right. And it's not even
go through it again. What Eric's gone through, what the cast of days, what I've gone through, my family's. Nobody should have to witness a family member go through one of the truly.
And for the young folks out there, cancer is starting to hit. It always has, but it's really targeting younger people who are not supposed to be getting cancer in their 20s and 30s. We got a problem in this world right now about what we're ingesting and how our bodies are reacting to it. And we got to do something about it, because I got 2 boys. My boys are 19. I don't want to have to worry about them getting a disease like this anytime soon in their lives. It scares me.
But I think so much of it too, you really hit it. So much of, I'll come back to that. First, I want to say that PanCAN is a huge proponent of a lot of the research that's going on, but they also offer an incredible amount of patient care services. So people who are actually in the throes of cancer treatment for pancreatic cancer, they have like the largest database of doctor referrals in the world, and they are totally connected to all of the different research groups around the world. But when you have pancreatic cancer and you don't have a strong network of people who might be able to guide you in the right direction, you can reach out to PanCAN and they can give you every possible resource that you could need or want or ask for.
That's invaluable.
And especially with pancreatic.
I'm so glad you said that, because truly watching my cousin trying to navigate it all was, I think, sometimes harder than the cancer itself, although that is incredibly difficult.
And with pancreatic cancer is so aggressive that you're up against the clock. You need people to guide you quickly and appropriately and effectively as soon as possible when you get a diagnosis like that. So PanCAN provides all those services, and with the rollback and research, federal research money, I think that this is more important than ever for people with pancreatic cancer.
It absolutely. Dish and Days is in the room right now, and they said they'll be there on the day.
Yeah, guys,
my boys,
love you. Yeah.
and Araceli.
And Magic since '86 says, "Hi Martha and Eric. I can't wait until next month. I'm so bummed that you're not going to be there, Eric."
I will be there. I'll be there in spirit.
Yes, but you are doing offering a Zoom, right?
Yes.
Of course.
So there are 60 other, roughly 60 other walks around the country happening the same day on April 26th. And so if you can't make it to LA, but you can make it to a PanCAN walk near you, we just want you to take a picture of yourself there, tag Eric and me, and we're going to pick one lucky winner to do a Zoom with us and anyone else that we can gather up from the show to pop in.
I'm going to look if there's one near me on that day.
Yes, do it.
Yeah, come on.
Get my family to go out and we'll all do it.
I mean, it's also just a great way to get outside and, get moving and
get outside. My goodness, it's beautiful out here.
Yeah.
Sunny.
Get outside and do something. Look out Martha's window. It looks lovely.
Santa Monica. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Absolutely. Yeah. We were talking a little earlier with Drake's blessing. You guys, Days had already taped John Black's memorial and death prior to his passing. That must have been so difficult for everybody. What do you recall? That was last September, I think, that that you taped it.
Yeah.
Well, what should be specified right off the bat is that Ken Corday, he made sure that he got Drake's blessing about doing it. This was not hey, let's write this in. No, this was handled very delicately and with respectfully to his family. And Drake, to go back to what we were talking about before, he's like, the show must go on. And he's like, buddy, tell the story. Tell the story. I can't imagine how heart-wrenching that must have been to give the okay to go ahead, film my funeral while I'm still on the planet breathing oxygen. And Alan, it was by far the hardest day I ever had on set. Everyone there was just on the brink of just losing it. Very hard to take.
Hardest day. It was like a hard 2 weeks.
We were really a mess. We were a mess. And I'm happy to say that I got to give kudos to the writers. This tribute to Drake was beautiful on so many different levels. There's actually a lot of fun and frivolity. My speech to him, I was so happy to say that I'm not going to give anything away, but it's funny.
It's funny. It's funny. And I was cracking up and I was like, I shouldn't be laughing.
And I loved presenting that side to him because he wouldn't want doom and gloom on that day. He would want, come on. He wanted to feel like a ballpark in the middle of spring. That's what he loved. But yeah, I know. I mean, Martha, I want you to comment too, because I knew you were. I remember your face that day, girl. I
honestly don't remember very much of it other than it just felt too real to me, I think. And I think I just felt kind of embarrassed that I couldn't get it together. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I was a disaster. I was really just like a dumpster fire for those 3 or 4 days around the funeral shows. And I remember my speech, I think it was written to be kind of upbeat and I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Oh, it was beautiful. I remember it.
I sobbed the whole time, and not like sobbed, but like ugly cried through the whole thing. So, I mean, just hoping it plays.
I really can't imagine, something like that.
It was hard.
Yeah.
And I think because we also didn't know at the time really what his condition was. I think there was some talk that he was in a trial. And I think, with that, I was feeling like, well, maybe there's some hope there. Maybe, if anybody can do it, it's him. He was so healthy, going into this. And I think so much about battling cancer is the health that you're in when it starts. Like I really felt like if anybody could do it, it would be him. And so I think I never let go of that hope. And I think we finished the funeral stuff, and then it was like just a matter of days that we got the news, because we were still doing aftermath shows after we came back from that break after he passed away. And those shows actually were 10 times harder for me to do than the funeral stuff because it was so real at that time.
I mean, Alan, I'm a father on the show now, and many of the things that he said to me as a son on the show, I'm reverberating with my daughter and my son now on the program. And so every day. A lot of my storyline lately has centered around Brady being a dad and the trials and tribulations of that. And so every day it's just a constant reminder of him.
Is it sort of like, you know, a little passing the torch to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Ken he even made a remark on set when he addressed us as the cast. He said he made some kind of statement about, okay, we you gotta take the reins, you know, and then come on, Eric, step up. And I did get the chance to talk to Ken, and he's like, it's time to step up, kid. You don't want that. You don't want we need that space on the show filled. And of course, I'm like, how the hell do you fill Drake Hogestyn's shoes? And he's like, I don't know, kid, but he would want you to, you know, and
because he knows you can, and he does. And Eric is very much that guy. So it's wonderful that you've been sort of passed the torch, and completely appropriate. Yeah.
Well, that's sweet of you to say.
That's true.
It's a day-to-day thing. And he was just a stud that I admired so much. So try to do him justice.
I love when you say that. I just love how you describe, you know, that I admire.
He was
awesome.
I'm not crying, by the way.
Don't stop it. You promised we had a rule that you weren't gonna break.
I'm not. I just had something in my eye.
I think how long both of you, you know, worked with him, but you know, I interviewed Deirdre last April, you know, before I knew any of this, and just her admiration for him, you know, in how she described who he was, like you guys have done. Wow, you know, how difficult it must be for her. You know, they have spent so many decades together opposite one another.
I think about that a lot. Martha and I, a lot of our scenes when we have them with Deidre, we're sitting there in that townhouse on that very couch, having the conversations that he and she had, and you can't help but feel that this is where they spoke.
Absence.
This is the absence of it. Very hard.
Although they've done a very wonderful job of keeping his essence around. You know, there's pictures of him everywhere.
Everywhere.
I feel like we acknowledge him in almost every script, and you know, I've said this before in other interviews, and I'm not to sound woo-woo, but I just think it feels like he's just not very far away. You know, it kind of feels like maybe he's just working out in his gym. You know, I don't know. It hasn't, like, maybe I haven't totally processed it all the way, but it's just, I almost can't wrap my mind around the fact that he's just not coming back, you know?
Well, I think of, you know, all of us daytime fans, you know, we tune in for family. And so just hearing you say, Martha, how Days is making sure we don't forget, that is why we keep coming back day after day to watch these shows, because that's what happens in real life. Of, you know, Eric, when you think of your mom every day, I think of my, you know, my mom, you know, you lose somebody, they are there. So they, you know, that presence should be felt, and we should be, you know, not forgetting them. That's an important thing in real life and in story, because it's the truth.
It's a big part of all of our viewers' lives too. And I think the both painful but beautiful thing is that we, with the entire audience who's known and loved Drake forever, we are going to do this together. And I think that is appropriate. Well, you know, they will go through the whole ride with us. Obviously, we were there a little earlier, but we're all going to get through that, and have been getting through that together.
That's the beauty of our genre. That's what's kept us on for 60 years is that family dynamic. That's the glue. You can run around with your shirt off as much as you want. You can steal as many babies as you want. At the end of the day, no, it's the family dynamic that warms your heart. And he was a big piece of that.
100%. Tia, who I think is the Dish and Days, said, Eric, you become the person and the performer he wanted you to be, day by day, a moment at a time.
Oh, yes.
Oof. That's very sweet. Thank you for saying that.
I know we can't talk a lot about this, but I mean, a big day's milestone is coming this November. 60th anniversary, which is an incredible milestone. And you came together for some photo shoots, which again must have been a little difficult without Dad in those pictures, as it would be every holiday, like for us in real life.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I'll the funny little story about behind the scenes of that photo shoot. I don't know exactly what kind of setup they're gonna end up creating, but there was a couch. There was a couch that was put out there on set, and they said, "Deidre, you sit on the couch." Just kind of took a look and took a look at everybody and went,
No.
"Well, who's? I don't know. I don't know if I want to sit." And they're like, "Well, we set up this whole thing," and she's like, "Well, it's got to be family then. It can't just be. It has to be. I want to be with my boys." And she motioned to Greg, Vaughn, and myself. She's like, she still had that feeling of like it's got to be a family. It's not just gonna be me and everyone. It's got to feel together. And so we worked really hard to bring all of the siblings into as close of a clump as we could, because there was a big hole in that picture, and that was Drake. And I looked at that couch and I thought, this is where he should be sitting. I shouldn't be sitting. I should be behind the couch with my hand. And she's like, no, sit next to me. You're my son on the program. And I was like, whoa, it was hard. We felt Drake's absence for sure that day.
Definitely. And I don't think that was initially the setup at all. I know for me, I was supposed to be in like a couple sort of setting. And then in the last couple days before, they decided to make it a family photo instead. And I was like, oh, this is so much better.
It was better.
And when we all were there together, I was actually really recognizing, I don't think that we've ever all had a picture like that together, like a formal with
not
us
one that
in the
included
roles.
everyone.
Right. And so although that was a highlight, the low light was it was still incomplete. But I loved that she was flanked by her kids in this picture. I think
it wasn't until I went right behind the camera, took a look at that. I'm like, oh, I get it. I see what she was going for, and she was right. She was right.
Yeah.
It's a family. It's a picture of a family. It's a tableau that's beautiful.
Yes, she's always right.
We're talking about.
She's always right.
She is. She is always right. Just do it the way she says to do it, and it's the right way.
True.
Well, speaking of, we should talk about Mom. What's it been like working with her all these years? I mean, Martha, I think you said that was your first scene with her, right?
No, my first scene was with.
Yours was Eric. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get to work with her for the first 3 months, and I was nervous. Yeah, my first day doing a scene with her, like I think I just built it up so big in my mind that I was like, oh, this is gonna be terrible. I'm gonna so screw it up, and she's gonna hate me. And it was just the opposite. Like we just clicked right away. She was very warm and welcoming to me, and has always been. I have a great relationship with Deidre. She reminds me a lot of my real mom. So it's like it was just a natural fit. And I like her sense of humor. It's edgy.
She
is. She doesn't hold back, and I appreciate that.
Let's not sugarcoat it. Martha's correct. She is edgy. And you will sometimes like, whoa. And then you're like, oh no, she loves the show. And if she knows that you care about Days of Our Lives and its existence, and that she will love you for that alone. And that
you have some reverence for what the show has been to so many people.
Yeah, have respect for what it has been and what will be.
Yeah. And if you don't, you're out. Bye.
Because she is a finely tuned detector as to whether you care about the program or not. If you're just here to make $1 and you don't care about Days of Our Lives going on for another 20 years, you ain't gonna get the love. Okay.
She'll call you out.
She'll let you know.
60 years.
But that's what's so wonderful about Deidre, though, is she's always 100% authentically herself. No apologies, no sugarcoating. And I just love that about anyone I know. And she is 100% that.
Especially in this town, you don't have to guess.
No.
How she feels about you, you know?
No, you don't.
She's what you get. And I love it. I respect the heck out of that. Yeah.
One of our fans, Dinah, says Deirdre's laugh is the best.
Oh yeah, when she genuinely did find something funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She sends
Yeah.
me the funniest memes ever. Like and
I don't get
sometimes
any memes.
sometimes they're so random. I'm like, I don't understand what this is. And then she's just like, throws her hands up at me like I'm so stupid. But she's
Yeah,
so
and
funny.
here's one. I got another one for you. When our first Day Players gig locally in LA, she came to the Peppermint Club, which by the way had no seating. Like you had to stand the whole time. She comes backstage with 3 bags of M&Ms for each band member. So that's 12 bags of M&Ms, and each M&M each the M&Ms had our faces on it. She
Oh
made
my
custom
gosh.
M&Ms with each of the
She did.
guys' faces on the M&M, and we're like,
Did you
this.
see the dollar bills that have Judy's face in the middle? She
Yes,
had those
yes.
made.
That's her latest project. That's awesome.
She comes in with all this stuff all the time, like just random, personalized, thoughtful, funny gifts.
She's mom.
She is
Oh,
mom.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, 60 years in November. Each of you, what has Days meant to you?
I'm gonna let you go first.
I know. Oh, you want me to go? Of course you.
Yeah,
All right.
I do. You're the leader.
Well, I'll tell you what. What a job. What a job to have as an actor. I was one of those guys, I'll be honest with you, when I first came to town. I was like, I'll do a soap for maybe 3, maybe 6 months, and then I'm gonna be the next Brad Pitt. I'm out of here. Um, I ran out of reasons to leave the soap opera. When I was on Passions, I realized how beautiful this job was, and that I was able to not only have a family, but always make dinner, never have to be out of town for an extended period of time. And that family dynamic was something that my mother and my father instilled in me in mid Pennsylvania years and years ago. And I watched how happy they were. And I just wanted to emulate that in LA. And even my brother was like, dude, you can't have a normal existence in LA. That's crazy. How are you going to do that? Be on a soap opera, and how you have your work family, and then you're able to be with your family because the hours are reasonable and you get to do what you love to do. So this job, I feel like I've killed it. I feel like I've stolen. I won the treasure. I won the medal by achieving this lovely job on this historic program. And
And he's also won an Emmy.
oh yeah, they even gave me a trophy for
They did.
saying some words.
Do you think
You'll get yours, Martha? Just hang in there. You'll get it.
Drake,
I don't need
Eric,
it.
do you think watching Drake do this helped that feeling come over you?
Alan, I'll be honest with you, even if I was a carpenter or a dentist or a lawyer, I would still take Drake's work ethic and apply that to whatever it was. I mean, all I had to do was watch his demeanor around the studio, and then you know how to do it right. The people that stay in these in soap operas for a long period of time are the ones that do their jobs well and make people happy behind the scenes. And he just did it with grace. You do it with grace, and you be happy about your job, and you come in with a smile and maybe a story. You do your job and you go home, and you're good.
But you're making the people who watch happy as well.
Yeah. Well, he always looked everybody in the eye at fan events too. He was never hey, like Martha was saying earlier, they'd go up to extras. Hey, what's your name? I noticed you're wearing a Red Sox jersey. What do you like about socks? What are you doing with that shirt on? I'm messing with you. He was that. He was human. He's a human in a world of
that resonates because I was interviewing Bill and Susan a couple years ago, and I was doing my research and watched their lifetime achievement or what they got at the Emmys. And I don't know if you recall, but Bryan Cranston speaking about
Bill.
Bill. And
that was awesome.
I remember that.
Right. How awesome was that? They didn't work, I don't even think necessarily in the same scene, but Bryan was so nervous for being late for his under 5. But Bill made him feel so at ease, and it sounds just like how Drake, by talking. Like, I'm sure there's an under five someday that might say, like, this guy made me feel like $1 million, calm my nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly there are hundreds, if not thousands, of actors that have a story like that about Drake as well. And I love that, that Bill got his cred too, because he was a lot like that too.
I mean, that
always
I was
so
blown
warm
away
and
by
fun.
that, because the fact that like Brian doesn't even know Bill, I don't think. Like, and he did that for
because people remember how you make them feel, especially in your high stress moments. And I think that's a beautiful testament to that.
Yeah.
And Brian also understands. I mean, he peaked in his career. I don't want to say later in life, but he understands the journey and the longevity. And that's what Drake had as well. You as an actor with a long career, you appreciate the grind and sometimes what it takes. And I'm soap opera actors. I'm going to wave that flag. We grind, man. We freaking grind day in and day out. Do more pages than a procedural will do in 2 weeks.
That's
in one day.
I would love to see a challenge, like a reality challenge of, a Brad Pitt and you, Eric, having to learn lines. Like
Hey, Brad, you listening? Brad?
I think Eric would retire Brad like that.
Oh, I would win. But, Alan, it's funny. We've had some A, B guest stars
on our show that couldn't do it.
Real good primetime actors that struggled and were like, what is this? Is this serious? Are we going this fast? So we've already seen people get really frustrated that are used to.
We've seen people not air because they couldn't do it. Yeah.
We won't name any names.
and Martha, days for you?
I mean, I don't think that I could actually articulate everything that the show has meant to me, because but I will say, I grew up as a latchkey kid. My mom worked. I was home alone a lot. And Days was one of the things that would comfort me when I was home alone. And so it was not just a job to me. It was kind of like this weird shift in reality where all of a sudden I'm there on the set doing this. It's been a strange journey for me. But I think as far as like what Eric is saying, as just an actor, I just feel very lucky, because most actors, it's really about mitigating these long periods of unemployment. And I don't do well with instability or not knowing what's next. I fully admit I am an OCD. Like, I need to know exactly what's happening at what time tomorrow. And so for me, this is the perfect job for me. And I've always known that. So I always knew that if I could get on a soap opera, preferably the one I watched, that I would stay there. That was kind of a goal, to just like, let's get on a show, let's make it an important character, and like that'll be my whole career. So although there've been some bumps in the road for me, I feel like I've pretty much achieved that goal. So it feels great, and I feel so lucky. I at least 5 times a day, I'm just like, how did I get so lucky?
Well, I know the fans are very excited for the 60th, but Martha, it's incredible how many, since I started this show, how many daytime actors who, grew up watching, I grew up watching Guiding Light and World Turns. I wasn't in front of the camera, but I ended up
Young and the Restless. My mom.
Yeah, I watched Young and the Restless too.
Yeah. So what a gift. What a gift that is. I love that. Martha, I have to ask, what was it like working with the legendary Dick Van Dyke?
Oh my gosh. I mean, exactly what you would imagine. It's like you go to work and you're like, I can't believe I'm like sitting next to Dick Van Dyke.
Martha and I were like, this is our grandpa? What's happening right now? The Bert from Mary Poppins is our grandfather?
Right.
You remember who told you that he was going to be there? Like, were you both like mind blown?
I think Drake was the one that because I knew that he had worked out with Dick Van Dyke in Malibu. They went to the same gym for years.
They've known each other for years. And Drake always talked about wanting to get him on the show in some capacity.
And Drake also told me, he was like, I was always I didn't want to, insinuate that he would do our show. One day I just brought it up, and Dick was like, in between sets, Dick was like, well, how come you never asked me to be on the show? You want to be on the show? Yeah, sure. And it was done like that. Drake called up the producers. It was done.
But also like the perfect role for him, because they were really good friends and they did know each other for a long time. And so if you're going to get Dick Van Dyke to say yes, you want it to be to play your dad that's going to round out this whole lifelong story that you've been telling since, you've been on the show. So, and I think I was really surprised in meeting him at how just young and sharp and funny, and like he has the spirit of like a 30-year-old. So it's just it was
he's
fun.
a child,
and
he's
talk about prepared
kid.
He was another one that he's a little kid, and he also was completely prepared, knew all his lines. I was worried. I was like, he's not going to be able to get through this, and he flew right through it. Piece of cake.
And at 99 in a Coldplay video.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
If
I not slowing down.
No, if I can live to be 99, I want it to be like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really do too. Eric, before I let you both go, like 2 more questions. Your boys you mentioned earlier, they're not doing so bad for themselves.
Nope.
By what do you mean by that?
Modeling contract, pretty good.
Well, they're I'll say they are 2 handsome boys, and they're making the most out of that. They hustle to get this agent's interest or whatever. But hey, man, the modeling agency is not for the weak either. It's not like they're booking jobs left and right. They have to grind a little bit as well. They're making a lot of trips downtown and spending hours in traffic for a 2-minute Polaroid session. But I'm proud of them. They're good kids, and they got ambition. I don't know what they're going to do for a living though. They don't have to know. They're going to be 19 in 2 weeks. But you just love them and you guide them. I'm not pressing them to be in the industry. I'm not doing that. My father didn't do that for me. My father gave me the choice. He's like, you can be a lawyer, you can be an actor, do whichever one you want. Just follow your passion. So I'm going to take that tip from my father, which was a beautiful blessing for a guy to get, for a son to get. So I'm kind of playing it the same way my father did, letting him make the choice.
You raised them right. They'll make good choices.
I hope so. You never know. Martha's she's got a daughter that's probably going to be president one day.
Well, I was like, wait, how old is she now, Charlie?
She's 11, going on 45.
64.
And tell me this pilot thing.
Yeah. So, she's really, again, this is another thing I really just can't take any credit for. She just came out this way. She's like an alien to me, but she's so smart. And she's very interested in airplanes, specifically F-22s. She built this F-22 that actually worked and flew out of cardboard and submitted it for her STEM project at school. And not only did she win the STEM project for the entire school, because of course, Charlie.
Isn't an F-22 like a fighter jet?
Yes, but she caught the attention of one of the other parents who's an executive at Lockheed Martin, who actually they make these planes. And so one of the head people at Lockheed Martin wrote her a letter inviting her to come and work there when she's a grown up, and sent her a challenge coin to continue her engineering path. And she's just, when she sets her mind to something, that's all she wants to do. She has in the past set her mind to be a doctor so she can tell you everything about every part of the human anatomy. She's also decided she wants to be an equine vet. And so she is not only a competitive equestrian, but she can tell you everything that you need to know about breeding horses. She needs a lot of stimulation.
Oh yeah, well, my boys they can stand in their underwear and look good.
Yeah, but you know what?
So whatever with your plain flying daughter. My boys look good in their underwear.
But my daughter is probably going to end up being an actor because
probably, and my boys will end up being the Secretary of State or something. Yeah.
You never
That's
get. You
the
don't
way
get to
the
pick
world
their
usually
path.
works.
You
That
just
No.
get to cheer them on.
The fun
that is
of life.
amazing.
Yeah.
At that age, bravo.
She's amazing. I have no
That's
idea
cool.
what she's gonna do, but if she's gonna do it, whatever she does, she's gonna be the best at it for sure.
I wanted to read. James said, Martha and Eric, so nice to get to know you a bit here. Thank you both for your generosity with PanCAN, as well as your generosity of your time and spirit.
Well, likewise.
Happy to give it. It is. I was excited to do this.
And Joaquin says, Eric, thank you so much for being yourself. You always bring such positive and fun energy. Always love you since NBC's Passions. You know, Eric, speaking of passions, you worked with the late Andrea Evans, another person who we lost too young to cancer. What do you remember about Andrea?
Oh, she was so much fun. She was so much fun on set. She played the zany Rebecca, right? And she was just crazy. She was always so sassy and in her red dress and her red hair, and you know, and another person that was just so full of life. You can't imagine like cancer beating someone like that,
That was
because
very shocking. Yeah.
that's how dangerous this stuff is. It just sucks the life out of our best people on the planet. I just want to mention also Rodney Van Johnson, who was also a Passions cast member. He will be attending the walk as well. He's going to be there. He lost his uncle to pancreatic cancer. Just found out he's going to be there too. So Passions fans out there, come say hi to Rodney, and that's going to be awesome as well. So
also Steven Nichols is going to be there. Tina Wong is going to be there. Obviously, Dan and I will be there. And there are a lot of people that are planning to come. I don't want to say their names because there's a chance they might not, but there's going to be a lot of people from the show.
We're going to be bugging the heck out of them next week when we're back in the studio.
You need to put a bucket out at the show for the day players that night, wherever you are, where you're performing.
Yes,
dude,
you do.
That's not a bad idea. All right, done. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma City, I'm putting a bucket out there.
On the bucket. You can get people to donate.
Good idea.
Any upcoming shows in the next couple of weeks that you want to give a shout out?
Well, my band, obviously we're going to be in Oklahoma City on April 26th, but don't go to that. Go to do the walk with Martha, because that's more important. But we'll be in Addison, Texas the next day. Don't worry. I don't want to take this time to talk about the band. I'd rather talk about this band. Yeah.
They can absolutely go to the website to do so. Thank you both for what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're going to roll.
I hope so. I really think we can, and
forget 50,000. Let's go for 100. Let's go for
absolutely. Thank you both.
Thank you, Alan, for letting us get the word out and helping us spread some information about the walk. I hope everyone watching can come, and if not, you can still sign up and start a team of your own, raise money under your team that'll be flowed through to our team, and that's a great way to help if you can't come.
Just donate. I promise you'll feel good about it, and we all need our hearts warmed once in a while. This will do it. So please donate.
This did it today for everybody watching. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Alan. Thank you, buddy.
You're so welcome. Take it easy. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody, so much for spending the hour with us. Thank you to Martha Madison and Eric Martsolf. Don't forget, you can join the walk or make a donation. You can click on the link down below on YouTube, Hogey's Home Runners. Please join me next Wednesday, March 26th at 7:30 Eastern, when the cast of Venice the Series will be here live. Crystal Chappelle, Jessica Lucia, Gregory Zarian, and Harrison White. And then on Thursday, March 27th at 7:30, a One Life to Live reunion with father and son, John Wesley Shipp and David A. Gregory. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like always, please stay safe.